Hello everyone, today I will be talking about the terror and horror of tomorrow, because scientific advances are exponentially increasing. So in the next 1, 2, 3 centuries, if mankind actually survives that long, which, you know, I think it would be better if it didn't, but if it does, we are going to see some horrific things in the future. Well, not us. It'll be the future sentient beings that we will be bringing into the world, and who will be exposed to the potential enormous amount of horror and terror that we will see in the next few centuries. Okay, so I'm going to base this video around Michio Kaku's Physics of the Impossible. Okay, so his preface, he says, one day would it be possible to walk through walls. So the first sentence alone echoes with the horror, potential horror that science will be able to facilitate. You know, if you can walk through walls, you wouldn't even have to break into a property. You'd just pass through the walls, and then you could murder, torture, rape, you know, innocent, defenseless citizens. To read other people's minds, well, to read other people's minds, I mean, I'll explain a little bit about some of the possible ramifications of that later in this video. To become invisible, I mean, just imagine the criminal activity you could engage in if you were able to be invisible, to make yourself invisible. I mean, criminals would give their right arm to be able to render themselves invisible, to move objects with the power of our minds. I will explain a little bit more about the ramifications of being able to do that later in this video also. So at the start of the book, he gives a definition of what he means by class 1 impossibilities, because he's got this grading system of class 1, class 2 and class 3 impossibilities. So let's listen to what he has to say about class 1 impossibilities. These are technologies that are impossible today, but that do not violate the known laws of physics. Okay, so they don't violate the known laws of physics. So there's nothing theoretically preventing these technologies from becoming an actuality. So they might be possible in this century, in the 21st century, or perhaps the next in modified form. The next century, the 22nd century. So we're looking at a time frame that will influence people in 2 or 3 generations time. So these people could be like your grandchildren. Okay. So he talks about force fields in the opening chapter. He says, so what is a force field? In science fiction, it's deceptively simple. A thin, invisible, yet impenetrable barrier able to deflect lasers and rockets alike. So, in a way, he's tacitly acknowledging that war and destruction will be a feature of the human condition, you know, indefinitely into the future. And this is like my point when I say that moral progress of the species, of the human species, is an illusion, because you can get technological and scientific advances, but there's no corresponding increase in moral integrity and rectitude, moral rectitude. So it's problematic, because you basically have evolved primates with 22nd, 23rd century technology. I mean, it spells disaster in capital bold letters. Let's pick some more parts out. So yeah, so he talks about force fields. And he also talks about magnetic levitation. Okay, so he talks about magnetically enhanced hoverboards and hover cars. Oh, that sounds like fun. That's a reason to bring children into existence, isn't it? So they can fart around on a hover car, giving us the ability to levitate large objects at will. Now you might just be thinking, oh, that'll help to build and construct buildings, you know, and schools and hospitals. But if you can levitate large objects at will and bring them down, crashing down on people, that is dangerous. Okay, then we've got and then he talks about Death Stars. You know, I mean, we made the film Star Wars, well, George Lucas did, and the Death Star is a colossal weapon the size of an entire moon. So there's nothing in the laws of physics preventing people from creating Death Stars in the future once their science and technology is up to the task. So, you know, there are going to be Darth Vaders of the future, just as there was Adolf Hitler of the past. Just imagine someone with Adolf Hitler's disposition and personality traits with the technology that is hypothesized in this book. And I detest the idea of someone like Greatex getting his hands on a Death Star, because he likes his pain, so he'll assume that other people like experiencing pain and suffering as well. Here we go. So, I mean, I could go into this more, but I think I've made my point here.